Hey there, Corporate Misfits. Welcome to the Corporate Misfit podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Darrington, founder of the Corporate Misfit Club and business strategist for female entrepreneurs who are looking to start, launch, and grow their business. I am so excited for today's Friday feature. We are chatting with Jackie Kossoff, who is a marketing strategist and an empowerment coach who loves helping her clients grow and transform their business beyond their wildest dreams. So we're going to go ahead and dive in and learn more about how Jackie left her 9-to-5 to start her own marketing agency.
You're listening to the Corporate Misfit podcast with Brittany Darrington, where female entrepreneurs can get powerful tips and advice on how to start, launch, and grow their business.
Welcome, Jackie. I'm so excited to have you.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Well, okay. Starting off with marketing is something that so many people actually struggle with. So can you tell me more about how you started your marketing company and what you do today?
Yeah, so I started my business because I saw when I was, when I was working the 9-to-5, I saw so many people, so many either small business owners or entrepreneurs who just really needed help with marketing. And I just felt that, sometimes it seemed like some of the agencies that were out there, some of the marketing experts were more interested in, how they could make the most money for themselves versus how they could help their clients make more money for their own business. And so for me, I think that realizing that I could start my own business and I could be the one to help others, I didn't have to, kind of stay in the 9-to-5 world and kind of be limited in terms of, who I could help based on where I was working. That was just an amazing experience for me. And I absolutely, that's kind of how my journey started. So
I love that. Now, when you first left your job, what was that like? Were you kind of like, what am I going to do next? Or did you have like a confident feeling into starting your business?
Yeah. So, it's really interesting because I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Honestly, from the time I left my job from the time I realized that I was going to become an entrepreneur to the time I left my job was less than 6 months. So it was kind of this really big, life shift for me. And it's probably like the biggest thing that's happened to me so far.
That's a big one.
Yeah, no, it was pretty big. But so before, me, just 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I never thought that, I was the type of person who could just, go out and start something on their own. I always loved structure. I loved, kind of being able to, have that, someone there to tell you, okay, this is what you're going to do, because, then I can make sure that I'm doing it well, so that was kind of how I lived my life. And then when I realized that being an entrepreneur was something that I was going to do, it was kind of this feeling of inevitability, it was sort of this, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm meant to do this right now at this point in my life. And it's all going to work out somehow. And I think that was kind of the moment where I wasn't really nervous. I stopped being nervous. Once I made the decision to leave my job, I was like, this is going to work out. I don't necessarily know how it's going to work out. I might, have to start 10 businesses before it works out, or I might have to move to another country. I don't know what I'm going to do, in terms of anything in my life, but it's going to work out. And so I think that just kind of having that moment and being able to really feel I'm going to make this work, this is all going to work out for me, was really comforting as I kind of, made the big leap.
Wow. 6 months and being able to go from working in structure and then go straight into entrepreneurship. I commend you because that can be difficult. Now, one of the things that I know that you kind of made a transition, and you made a transition pretty quickly. Did you make a business plan and during that transition, or what are some ways that you planned for your business, if so?
Yeah. So, right around the time this literally all happened, in the same month, I decided yes, I was going to start my job, or start my business. I didn't know if I was going to leave my job yet, but, and then I found, this group business coaching program, and, it was, I just felt like this is perfect for me. It was a wonderful price point. The young woman who was in charge of it, she was a business coach who's about my age. So it was kind of oh, okay, she started a business, rather young too. So like, you know, this is perfect. And
if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? So then anyone who might be in the same age group, or you can give us an age group if you'd like.
yeah, you know, I'm 25.
Okay.
So
okay.
yeah. So, and I started my business when I was 24.
Okay.
So yeah.
So for all the people who say they can't start a business because they're too young, they need all this extra experience, like you're a living proof and an example. I love that.
Yeah, no, thank you. But yeah, so in that program, we did write a business plan. Honestly, though, I feel like whenever I write a business plan, it always changes in the next few months. So it's never like, you know, it's never the same. It's always evolving and it's always changing and growing. But I think that part of that is really exciting.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned that your business plan changed, because sometimes people get really set on their plan and they're like, it has to go this way, because in corporate world, we're kind of taught that things need to go as we plan it. And when things don't go that way, it's like, oh crap, what do I do now? So I love that you mentioned it changed, and I kind of just kept going with the flow. Now, what about an emergency fund? Did you have any like backup funds set aside for starting your business?
Yeah, so I was actually really lucky. I had been able to save quite a bit of money in order to kind of be able to start my business and not necessarily need funds like, you know, upfront. You know, so that was really wonderful for me. And so I'm very lucky in terms of that. And honestly, I'm inspired by all these people who, you know, kind of do the opposite. Like they don't have anything. They're just like, okay, I'm going to like jump in. And I'm like, okay, that's a little too much of a risk for me, but
no, I don't recommend it.
know?
I definitely don't recommend it, Jackie. What you did was excellent, because I was one that jumped in, and I immediately jumped in. I used my $4,000 savings at the time, and I couldn't get my business up and going. Like it flopped in 5 months, and I was like, okay, if I don't start something ASAP, I'm going back to that 9 to 5, and I don't want to. So I definitely, I commend you for starting that, because so many people don't, and they do like what I did, where we're like, okay, I'm kind of SOL right now, trying to figure out how I'm going to make it. So I love that. Now, what about just kind of identifying you mentioned structure earlier. How did you kind of plan out your days once you started working for yourself and going about structure within your business?
Yeah, so this is actually something that I feel like I have somewhat, I wouldn't say struggled, but it's been a learning process. I think that, you know, I started out my business when I started, I scheduled my days differently than I do now. And I kind of tried out all these different things. You know, I had, you know, certain other people, you know, mention like, you know, oh, this is what I do in my business. And I was like, oh, let me try that. Let me see if that works for me. And, you know, honestly, I feel like there are some times when I'm still kind of learning, you know, like how am I going to structure my day? You know, like I have sort of adopted, you know, a few things, such as like, you know, when am I going to look at email, and when am I going to, you know, do client work, and when am I going to, you know, focus on the business growing activities, but it still kind of shuffles around every so often. And I think partially that's because I feel like I've just been like changing and growing so much this year, you know, because it's really it's been about a year since I actually left my corporate job. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Did you celebrate?
Not yet, because I still have a few days left before my official. Well, it's actually going to be the anniversary of when I gave my notice. So in a few days, and then the end of November was when I left.
Wow, I love that. I hope you celebrate, because that's something that I implemented, and I will tell you, every time I kind of get around the date, I'm like, this is why I do this, to celebrate. So fun.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to say I'm actually taking a trip to Europe, which I've been planning since just a few months after I left my job. One of the things that I absolutely love about, you know, having my own business is that I do get to travel. And because that was something in my 9 to 5, I did not really have much of at all. Yeah, like that was it. And so just in my 9 to 5, I actually spent the first 2 years at that job saving up all my vacation time in order to go on this one family trip to Hawaii that, you know, we knew we were going to be taking. And that was wonderful. But when I came back, that was actually when this whole entrepreneur thing started, because I was just like, I can't wait another 2 years to have like another 2-week vacation. Like, that's just insane. Like, you know, and I was like, I have so many places I want to go and see. And, you know, and I was just like, this just isn't going to happen. Like, why am I going to wait till I'm like 50 in order to, you know, travel and things like that? And so, that was one of the big catalysts, was just, you know, being able to do that, you know, being able to plan my trip and go see all the sites that I want to see. I'm super excited. So that's kind of like my celebratory trip, like a year off, but I didn't schedule it for that reason. I scheduled it around another event that's actually taking place that's been on my bucket list. And so that's why I'm going.
I love that. And, you know, like you mentioned, you save up all these days. I mean, gosh, 2 years for 2 weeks is one of those things where I'm like, who made up this system? Who made up this like terrible system that is not a win-win in the United States? So when you went out and you said, I'm going to start my own business, how did you know who to look for your ideal customer? How did you know who your target market was?
Okay, so this is actually like, I wouldn't say like do this, but like if you have to, then like that's okay. I honestly had no idea. I was like, one of my biggest fears starting my business was that like I just wasn't ever going to be able to find anyone who would hire me. It was like this huge fear, huge limiting belief, and it was probably the most crippling that I had. But I basically decided, I was like, you know what, I know what kind of business I want to run. I know what my branding is going to be. I know, like, you know, kind of what I want my voice to be. I know what I want to help people with. I know how I want to serve them. You know, the empowerment coaching is something that's actually really new for me, but empowerment was one of my main principles when I started my marketing business. I was like, okay, like I want to empower people through marketing, through whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm helping them with. And so I sort of created my brand. I got all the, you know, kind of, you know, the aesthetics down, you know, but then I also, you know, did all the, you know, kind of behind the scenes, the more like, you know, the subtle stuff that, that's more important, from a certain standpoint. But yeah, so I did all that. And then I was kind of like, okay, like I've got this, it's all out there. It's all ready. It's all set to go. And I sort of started attracting a certain type of client. And I realized after just a few months, I was like, oh, like I'm basically attracting almost the same kind of person. Like, you know, like they have a lot of similarities. Like most of my clients, you know, they're women, they love yoga, they love travel, they live by the beach, you know, just like things like that, things that aren't necessarily even connected to their business. Like they're mostly in the wellness space of, you know, some sort, but it's just like, it was just so kind of cool to figure that out. I was like, oh, like I'm already attracting people that are my ideal client. And I wasn't even, you know, I wasn't focusing on the client at first. I was focusing on, you know, me and like how I wanted to be perceived by the world and who was going to be attracted to that. And I was like, all right, here it is. Like, we'll see who I get. And so that's kind of how it all worked out.
I really love that, because you touched on something that I think a lot of people forget. Sometimes people say, go find your ideal customer and find out who you think will pay for this. But instead, like when you start to focus on maybe what their hobbies are, or they like yoga, they like to go by the beach, they drink coffee, you know, those are the individuals that you want to connect with because they're a good fit. And I think if more people kind of took some time to say, I know they might buy my product, but let me go a little bit deeper. Let me see where do they hang out? Where do they like to do stuff for fun? Like that really helps people to identify who would be a good fit for them. Because sometimes you can get the nightmare clients by just picking people you think would buy. Because a lot of people can buy your product.
No, and I definitely, I did have one or two of those. So, you know, there's been, you know, I feel like everyone goes through those kind of like, you know, growing pains. But yeah, no, and that's actually one of the things I help my clients with is, you know, audience targeting and just client profiles and stuff, because I feel like so many people, they either think they know their audience, or, you know, they think that their audience is, you know, is made up of one type of person, but it's actually not. And I feel like sometimes that is the main reason why they're not seeing the growth that they want in their business. And so that's one thing that I know I've really I've really helped a number of my clients with, just in terms of figuring out, okay, who is your ideal client? Like, are these people who you've been marketing to, are they really your client? Like, is that, maybe that's why they're not buying. So,
do you recommend in the beginning for, say, a new entrepreneur, do you recommend that they take some time to test some things out with their who they think might be their ideal customer in the beginning?
I would say that just keep an open mind, honestly, so it's like, if they feel really strongly, they're like, I want to help, this type of person, like I want to help fitness coaches or whatever it is. If they feel strongly about that, then I would definitely say, like, go for it, like, but just understand, like, maybe, that might change. Like, you might find that, there's a lot of people who are, maybe in another industry that are really drawn to you and that you can help and serve as well. So I would just say, keep an open mind. And, but if it's something that you're passionate about, I would definitely say, like, go for that first, but also understand that, your dreams and your passions can change and grow. And, I just feel like, like I've experienced that a lot this past year. And so I just encourage others to kind of accept the journey, maybe a little more readily than I did, because I was a bit stubborn at times. Like, I did get in, there were spots where I was just like, no, like I have to do it this way. And, I would like kind of be stuck for like a month or so until I realized, okay, no, I have to stop doing this. Like, so.
That's so common too, especially in the very beginning, we get stuck in our ways. We think we know how to do something. And then sometimes if we just make slight tweaks or changes, we can actually get so much further, like in a shorter amount of time, if we kind of do that. But yeah, stubborn. And trust me, I'm a Taurus. So I am very stubborn. If you know what the sign is for Taurus, like we are hard-headed stubborn. So I get it. Now, what about when you started your business? I know you mentioned that you started attracting the right people and the people that you were like, oh, that's funny, they have things in common. Did you use any platforms or any maybe even paid advertising or anything to start attracting these ideal customers?
Yeah. So originally, I was mainly doing organic, advertising. I would do I was involved in a lot of Facebook groups. I would, meet people that way. And that's how I assigned my for several clients was through Facebook groups, through networking. There were times when I would connect with someone and we would say, hey, how about you refer me to, people that or people you see in Facebook groups, and I'll refer you. And so that's actually how I got my first few clients. However, if I could, oh, thanks. If I could go back and do it over again, I would definitely, especially since I did have I had all that money, in savings. And I would definitely put some of it towards advertising just to grow my community, from the beginning, because I definitely feel like that was something that I kind of started late. Like I sort of had this idea, like, my plan was that, I would get, X number of clients and reach this income goal. And then at that point I would, have the kind of street cred to be able to, go and build this community and have people actually want to be part of it. And I realized, that, it was just, that's just not how it should be. Like, that's not how you should do it. Like you don't necessarily need like, these, like case studies. Like, I feel like for me, I realized that it wasn't about proving to other people that I could do it. It was about proving to myself that I could do it, because, you have that, like, there was like that self-doubt or whatever. And so I definitely think that, if I was starting my business all over again, I would go and I would invest more in some of those paid lead generation strategies, like Facebook ads and stuff like that. Like, I love Facebook ads now, but like in the beginning, I didn't think that I, was kind of like worthy of Facebook ads, I guess you could say. Like, I was like, why would anybody click on me?
That's really interesting. And how did you kind of overcome that hurdle of like, I don't want to invest into marketing because I'm afraid people won't want to work with me? Because again, that's something that so many people have. A lot of people have, I guess they call it imposter syndrome, where they're like, I don't want someone to think that I know this and because I don't know enough yet, or I don't have this yet, so I don't want to invest into it. So how did you overcome that?
So I actually overcame that with the help of my business coach.
Mm-hmm.
And, she kind of, she sat me down one day when we were talking about, the amount of money that I was setting aside every month for ads. And, she was like, if you were one of your clients, like, what would you tell them? She was like, would you tell your clients to, kind of hold on to your money this tightly? And I was like, no, like, I would never tell, one of my clients to do that, because you need to, at this point, you need to spend money to make money, like if I'm putting, ads out there, it's attracting people to my list, to my community, to my discovery calls.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of realized that, like, I needed to do more to treat my business as if it is a separate business to myself. And that's something I'm still kind of learning, because I think that so many, and I see this with so many entrepreneurs, and I've obviously been struggling with it too, is just like, you feel like your business is like a part of you. And like, it's like, so, you're so attached to it. And what I've been learning is that, it's not part of you, like you're not your business, like your business is not you. And, you need to be the one running your business. You can't like, be like attached to it, so I think that kind of being able to take a step back and thinking, okay, like if I wasn't so inside my business, like how would I be marketing my business? How would I be attracting new clients and getting new clients and growing? And when I started really focusing on that, okay, like, separating myself from my business, that's when kind of the inspiration started coming back again. And that's when I started, that's when I got the idea for my new accountability mentorship program. And that's when I, kind of realized like, oh, okay, like, I want to help with marketing, but I also want to help with empowerment and, just help other entrepreneurs, kind of figure out all these lessons that I kind of learned, just this past year, and in moving forward, because I do think that, it's kind of like, I know that, everyone has to go through it themselves, but I also feel like, you can go through it faster,
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I think when you have a mentor, or if you have a coach or a community of individuals who might have already experienced it, it just makes it so much easier for you to say like, hey, this is not working. Hey, did you try that out? It's so easy. But I love what you said not too long ago. You mentioned that, you have to be willing to spend money. And one of the things that I love to just share with new entrepreneurs, especially when it comes to marketing, scared money can't make money. And whenever you are holding back from like investing into your business, how can you expect your business to give back to you? And so I love that you mentioned like you would have done things differently, because I think a lot of people, especially in the very beginning, they're afraid to even invest into their company. And I always wonder, like, if you can't invest into it, like, why would you want anyone else to pay into your company, or make an investment into what it is that you do? So I love that you see it from multiple angles on what you could have done differently. I love that. Now, what about just being able to manage both sides of your business? I know that you started off on the marketing side of things, and you're still doing that, but you're also now implementing a new side to your business with the empowerment. So how do you manage that? Because sometimes people struggle with idea overload, and they want to implement everything at once.
Yeah. So I'm still working it out, but, I've got my plan in place now. And so, I'm really excited, but basically when I got this idea to start this new empowerment program, my first thought was, oh my God, but like, people see me as a marketing strategist. Like, I can't be both. And then, literally it took me a few hours to kind of realize like, no, like that's not, like, just don't do that. You can do, if I want to do something, like if I am going to be helping people, like this is just going to make sure that I can help more people, because, as a marketing agency, me and my team, there's a set number of people that, we can help at one time, because that's just the way that it is. That's just the way marketing is. And so for me, I was like, I need to see this as an opportunity. I need to see this as an opportunity for me to be able to help more people and to really impact them in, a way that isn't necessarily related to marketing. It could totally be related to marketing. We can talk about marketing goals and, how to reach them and whatnot. But this can be about anything. This can be about life goals. This can be about, business goals for whatever business they have. This could even be, for people potentially who are still in the 9 to 5 and trying to do the side hustle thing, and reach their goals with that. So I think that for me, it was kind of realizing, okay, I just need to make space. And it's not that I don't have space. It's that I was telling myself that I didn't have the space, and that was also part of the problem. I feel like a few months ago, I was kind of stuck because so much of what I was doing revolved around my business, and I wasn't really making time for myself or the other things that I kept saying, oh, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to, and so for me, I was like, okay, that's not making me happy. And I'm sure that, other people going through this, doing the same thing or similar things, they're not happy either. So I really want to be able to, first I was like, I need to figure it out for myself. So okay, awesome. And then, then I was like, okay, I really need to help people because this is so amazing. And I've just seen in the last few months, just such an amazing growth in myself, in, my positivity and my business too, so it's kind of like, I feel like when you, when you're going, the right way or the positive way, or, however you want to, phrase it, kind of everything else comes along with it, so that's really what I want to help people with. And I think that balancing, everything that I want to do in my business, in my life has become extremely important to me, especially for this last quarter of 2018 and going into 2019. So that's kind of my main overall goal, big picture goal, is just to really, be able to focus on everything that I'm passionate about, because I do consider myself a multi-passionate person. And, sometimes it can feel difficult to fit everything in. But I think once I realized no, it's not that I couldn't fit everything in. It's just that I wasn't making it a priority to fit everything in. And so once I did, that's when everything kind of started changing. So
wow, I love that. And I think what happens for a lot of people too is that they go into the business, they have multiple ideas, and like you mentioned, just kind of not making it a priority or allowing themselves to enter into that new space. So I love that you did that. Now, what about hours, for example? When you first left your job, kind of how much were you working per week? And so people kind of know what to expect or have an idea of what others have done.
Yeah. So in the beginning, and especially for the first probably 4 to 5 months, I was definitely working at least 6 hours a day, sometimes more. One of the things I did though was I made sure to give myself weekends off. That was a big thing for me. And that was something I actually got, I think in either one of the entrepreneur Facebook groups I was in, or the, business coaching program, someone mentioned, if you start your business and you work on the weekends, and you're always going to be working on the weekends, or something like that. And I was like, well, I don't want that. So so
yeah. And you're in LA, you're in the best place for the weekends. You should not be in the house on the weekends.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started. So I was working minimum 6 hours. There were times where I would work more. And then, that kind of got overwhelming, and I was like, I left the 9 to 5, so I didn't have to work, as long. And, I also felt like there were a lot of times where I would just kind of it would take me 3 hours to finish something that I knew should only take me 1 hour, so I was just kind of okay, why am I feel like I'm just sitting here, I'm just not really, feeling it. So, so I kind of that was the first time where I took a step back. I was just okay, what's working, what's not, where can I start outsourcing? And so that was when I got my first VA, and that really helped, just even, because I pretty much had her take just 5 hours off my, off the total time that I was working in a week. But just not having to worry about those 5 hours of tasks that I didn't really enjoy, made the rest that I actually, was giving myself to do, I was able to do it faster.
Oh,
So
I love that. I love that. Now, with outsourcing, a lot of people are nervous because they don't want to spend their money on, or they might not have the money to spend on outsourcing. What are some things that you did when you went about looking for your virtual assistant?
Yeah. So I actually love sharing this because I was one of those people that was like really worried before I, was looking to hire a VA, because writing is such a big part of my business. It's such a big part of marketing. And I have a degree in writing. So like I take writing very seriously. I'm definitely like a writing snob, you could say.
I'm never going to let you read any of my stuff. I'm terrible. I'm like Rebecca. It has every mess up you could think of to make it work. Fix it out. Fix it. Make it happen.
Yeah. So like, I was like, I'm never going to be able to find someone who's like, who's like got everything that I want and who can, do everything, grammatically correct and like, but also has style and like, and all that stuff. And so I was talking about this with someone, in another group coaching program that I had. And she mentioned that she was like, well, why don't you ask for like writing samples? And why don't you, and so I was like, oh my God, like that's it. And so I sort of realized that, if you're going to be outsourcing, you need to treat your business like a real business. You need to make like an actual job description. It's not just like, oh, let me post in a Facebook group, hey, I'm hiring for a VA. Like, anyone and everyone can come and apply. You have to, show your business respect, and, you have to put that out there. You have to be like, okay, what does this person need to be able to do to make them a qualified VA for my business? And that's what they need. So I had people send me 3 writing samples. I had them, send me any, recommendations, or, just that, they may have had. And I think there were a few other things that I asked for too. I definitely asked for like social media handles that they had, worked with in the past.
Learn more about them.
Yeah. And their style and just, and things like that. So that was really, good. I definitely had a number of candidates that were really promising. And when I hired my first VA, it's been a positive experience. Like, there's never been any point where, she didn't do the work, or she like, wasn't, like producing like, good work. Like her, her writing was on point, things like that. So it's really helpful for me, because, I'm not one of those people. I hear so many entrepreneurs, say, oh, I had to edit everything that my VA did. So like, I end up hiring her, and then, and I'm never hiring the VA again. And I'm just like, well, no, like, you just need to find someone who knows how to write. And, then it's like, even when I do edit her stuff, it's usually just like, switching the like structure of the sentence or something like that, just because that's, how I want it. But
now what about control though? Yeah. But what about control? This is so funny. I love outsourcing. Like I could talk about outsourcing all day. What about control when you like delegate to someone else and you give that to your VA? Did you struggle with that in the beginning, especially coming from doing everything on your own and then all of a sudden having someone to kind of take some weight off of you?
Yeah. So I think for my first VA, this is kind of funny. Like now that I'm looking back on it, for my first VA, I like had prepared everything, and I was like, okay, like I was like, okay, here's your training. Like, let's have a call. Let's talk about this, all that stuff. And then when I hired my second VA, it was definitely more, kind of more relaxed. She was like one of my old friends from college, and, and I was like, okay, like it'll be fun to work together. Like I knew that she was, really reliable, really trustworthy. And so I sort of just like sent her a few things, and I was like, okay, do it. And she just like had no idea what to do. And she was just like, oh my God, like, what are you talking about, Jackie? Like what? And so I realized like, that I feel like because I had such a positive experience with my first VA, I sort of just assumed that like
everyone knows what to do.
Yeah, the next one would be great. So like, so I did have to like, go back and like, explain to her like, okay, no, this is how you do it. This is what I'm looking for. This is like, the process and everything like that. And so, going forward, when I'm set to hire, the next people I'm going to hire, I know now, like, I need to make sure that the onboarding is like, as structured and put together as it was that first time. So
I love that because it reminds me of like a child, for example. Like the first child is usually like, oh, you cannot stay with anyone and everyone, and I'm going to hold you at all times. The second child's like on their own. You
Yeah.
got it. Fend for yourself and make it. Good luck out there. Like,
That's
I
like
love
exactly
that.
what I did.
Now, what about for new entrepreneurs? When do you recommend it? When do you recommend they start looking for outsourcing in their business when they're first kind of getting started?
Yeah. So, I would definitely say, I personally think that, like, looking back on it now, like, I think I should have just like outsourced like a month or two earlier. But I would definitely say, when it becomes apparent that, you're doing these tasks that are taking up a lot of your time and they're very menial and, they're not like super necessary, that's when you need to outsource. So for me, I was spending hours a day, like reading through, emails, and, I'm on a number of different, like, entrepreneur, subscription lists and, just different things, like, because sometimes there's good information in there. And I'm also on, kind of media pitch list. So, and so I read through those to see, like, okay, are there any articles I can contribute to and things like that. And that was just taking up so much of my time, and it was stressing me out because I was like, this is just not working for me. So so that's when I kind of realized, I was like, I don't want to, I'm not getting paid to read my emails. Like I need to, I need to outsource this. Like this needs to go. So so the first thing I did was, I gave my email, like admin stuff, to my VA. And then I also gave her some content work as well. So she was helping me with the content for my business and my clients' businesses. So that was very helpful. And that's something where, we can plan in advance. She can make sure to give me the content with enough time so I can review it and make sure it's good for the client and everything like that. So, so that's how it worked out. And I would definitely say, like, hire a VA before you feel like you need one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
They help you. It's interesting because I don't think people realize how much it can help you. I think about, like, if you had an admin at your 9 to 5 or something like that assisting you, like it can help take a lot of weight off of you. And I think too, what you mentioned about email and being like overloaded with email. I realized that in the corporate world, not all, but in the business that I worked within, a lot of things were just always email. It was always like email. And so you're inundated with your email and you spend all day checking your email versus like really getting tasks done, that it holds you back. And then sometimes you take that into your business and you're like looking at your email all day and like waiting for someone to send you a quick response, and it just holds you back. And I recently adopted Tim Ferriss's method of email. I don't know if you're able to pass this one off. So this is actually, you're good.
Okay.
I'm like, never mind. You don't even have to worry about this. But I only check my business email, not my personal email, my business email once a day. And I check it at like 4 or something, like at the very end of the day. So then if I send you an email, I'm like not worried about it until tomorrow. So it's the end of the day for me, So I love being able to hear how people like manage that whole email system thing, because it can bog you down if you don't know how to manage it and take care of it. So
that was definitely something I had in my 9 to 5, like my last 9 to 5, like I was on my email all day. Like that was like, like
you spend your whole day. I'm like, I always wonder, I'm like, how do Fortune 500 companies really make money? Because I spent most of my time on my email,
Yeah, that's all you do. Like they're basically like someone that's like, you do get paid to read emails, like when you're at a 9 to 5, like that's
exactly. That's when you check emails. Now I want to just have you give some sort of advice to new entrepreneurs who have either no idea how to get a business up and going, or entrepreneurs who have been in business for a short period of time and just need to hear something from someone who's been there and done that. What advice would you give them?
Yeah. So I would definitely say to kind of sit back and like think about what your vision is, or like what you want from your life, from your business, like what you want to get out of your business. And it's so interesting because this is, even just a few months ago, I probably wouldn't have given this answer. But I just feel like, recently, since I've sort of started, running my business from a place of, okay, where do I want my business to bring me? Like, what sort of opportunities do I want in my life, in my business? Like, and how is my business going to help me get there? I think coming at it from that kind of bigger picture perspective has been really helpful for me. But I do caution, like, don't let yourself get like overwhelmed, like, because that's, I feel like I did that for a while. I was like, well, I have really big dreams, but like, it's going to take so long to get there. And like, like, I'm just like, it's such a long way out, so I feel like for me, it's kind of been accepting, like, even if it seems like your dreams are so far off or whatever, like staying where you are or playing small isn't going to help you get there any faster. Like, it's going to hinder you. So for me, I feel like it was like, there was a part of me that was even afraid of like fully fleshing out my vision for my business and like my future life, because I was just so afraid that I was never going to get there. And so I would definitely say, like, just don't be afraid. Just like, have it all out there. You can like write it down or draw it out or like make a collage and then like, kind of put it away if you want, like, but you just need to like have it so that you know what you're working toward. And then, just kind of start from square one, and everybody starts from somewhere. And I think that, and I feel like I'm still, kind of in the process of realizing this too, but it's like every day just get a little closer. So that's kind of become like my new motto. And so I feel like it works for, if you're just starting out, or if you, have a business, or maybe you're like, I have a business, but like, I hate it. I'm like, I want a new one.
I want to create something different. Yeah.
Yeah. Like whatever it is, or even for people who are still in their 9-to-5s and kind of dreaming about it, like just every single day, if you make even the smallest bit of progress, like that's a win in my book. And I've started thinking about it as moving my business and my life forward each and every day. So like, I told you, like, I don't really work on the weekends. So the weekends are definitely much more like life heavy, I guess you could say. I hang out with my friends, I see my family, I do
fun hobbies, things like
that.
that.
I do a lot of self-care and everything like that. And so for me, it's all about just making myself feel better and energized on the weekends, and and just really and have time for me and the things that I love doing that maybe I, didn't get to do that week because like, I was working on this exciting business project, which is like great and everything, but like, you can't do exciting business project and then like, other, other stuff like at the exact same time. So
yes. And you have to take care of you, because I think if whether it's the weekend or spending a couple of days of the week, whatever it may be, whenever you take that time to take care of you, it just allows you to show up in your business full on versus like drained, tired, trying to figure it all out and like, ugh. Now, how can we stay in touch with you, Jackie? And also, can you share with us about your recent program that you recently opened up?
Yeah. So my program is going to open up actual like registration. You can like pay for it in December, in January.
Yeah.
Right now I have the wait list set up. So I would definitely recommend for people out there, go find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Jackie Kossoff, or Instagram at Jackie Kossoff _LA. And, DM me, like, just get in touch with me. Just let me know, give me your email. Like I'll get you on the email list. I'll get you on the wait list. And then for, just to follow up with me, my website is JackieKossoff.com. And you can also find me on social media. I love, I love interacting with people, there and everything like that. I do have my own Facebook group.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you have a Facebook group? Okay.
Yes, marketing strategies for transformational coaches. And so almost every single week, I have a free workshop that's in the past, it was all marketing related. Now I'm, expanding to, goal setting and empowerment and, and of those new things that I'm going to be working toward in that area of my business. So yeah, so there's lots of different ways to get in touch with me. Yeah, no, and I love meeting new people. So seriously, reach out.
I'll make sure to link everything at the very bottom of our show notes as well, so they can stay connected and also learn about your upcoming program that's launching. I'm so excited about that. I know that's going to do extremely well.
If you've enjoyed today's episode of the Corporate Misfit podcast, we invite you to check out the Corporate Misfit Club. The Corporate Misfit Club is the essential resource for female entrepreneurs who are looking to start or grow a business they actually love. Whether you are a seasoned entrepreneur in your startup phase or simply thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship, we've got your back, girl. With our extensive course library, monthly training, exclusive members-only discount perks, and unlimited tools. We also have a supportive community of women where our members share stories, experiences, their wins, and business tips. The Corporate Misfit Club is the perfect place to be to start, launch, or grow a business. So check it out at corporatemisfitclub.com.